Hello, my lovelies. It is me again on my own personal road to WrestleMania 40. Today, we are going to talk about WrestleMania 23. WrestleMania 23 took place April 1st, 2007 in the Detroit area at the Ford Field. This will be the first WrestleMania to happen in the Detroit area since WrestleMania 3, 20 years previously. That took place in Pontiac, Michigan at the Pontiac Silverdome. And we will kind of get into that a little bit. It's kind of a throwback to WrestleMania 3 that happened in 1987 in WrestleMania 23. This will also be the first WrestleMania up to this point to have a buy-in rate over $1.1 million. So that's super exciting. And I do kind of want to get into the tagline because they do show these little montage videos throughout the entire WrestleMania 23 event. And the tagline is all grown up. WrestleMania being all grown up 20 years later in the Detroit area. But they show, like, there's one of Stone Cold Steve Austin talking about when he was a little Austin and showing videos of a kid dressed up as Stone Cold Steve Austin. He kind of like chugs back milk and it goes all in his eyes. I don't know. I didn't love it. Just seeing the wrestler as a grown up and then seeing him as like a toddler. I get it. Okay, cool. And like my previous WrestleMania videos, we do have the brand split, which is Raw, SmackDown, but at this WrestleMania, we are also recognizing ECW. But today we're in Detroit Rock City, so let's get into it. This is my WrestleMania 23 rundown. The first match to start the show, which glorious in my eyes. It's not my favorite of the Money in the Bank ladder matches in WrestleMania up to this point. This would be the third, but it was great nonetheless. There was some gimmicky things in it. This Money in the Bank ladder match lasted about 24 minutes. And in it, we had Mr. Kennedy, CM Punk, Randy Orton, Finlay, Matt Hardy, King Booker with Queen Sharmell, Jeff Hardy, and Edge. So up to this point, I do want to preface that Edge has never lost at a WrestleMania. But here we go. This ladder match was pretty stellar. There was a few things that happened in it that I didn't necessarily enjoy, and I'll get into that in a sec. But the one thing I feel like was really missing, and I've said this before, was Shelton Benjamin. That man would use a ladder like no other, and I feel like there wasn't really any cool ladder spots. There were, but nothing like Sir Shelton Benjamin would do. We had King Booker there, and he was with Queen Sharmell, and this man was being effed with all over the map. So he went under the ring to grab a ladder, and what he pulls out is a step ladder. It was just so ridiculous. I kind of loved that part. He just like looks at it like, what? At another point in the match, he is climbing up the ladder to grab the briefcase, but Matt Hardy goes to do a twist of fate on Queen Sharmell, and Booker T climbs back down the ladder. You can hear people on commentary, I believe it was JBL, saying like, lost a lot of women, just go up the ladder, leave her to get her twist of fate, it's fine. King Booker T is a good guy. He saves Sharmell, and you know, he ends up not winning the match. There was a point where Jeff Hardy could have won this match, but he climbs up the ladder. Edge is set up on a ladder already down below the ring, and he jumps on Edge like you were already up there. But I mean, it was kind of a silly spot. Like, wouldn't you want to win? But I guess all the stuff with Matt Hardy and Edge previous years with the whole Lita stuff, maybe he was having flashbacks or something. And he jumps onto Edge, onto the ladder. The ladder like breaks in half. It looks brutal. Edge has gone on to say like he wish he hadn't have done this because he was in a lot of pain. He does get taken out of the match and out of the arena stretcher. So Edge is out. This is his first loss at a WrestleMania, and what a loss it was. I mean, that is a pretty iconic spot. That is something we will remember forever because it is so crazy looking. But Jeffrey, come on. And then of course Finlay is there. He can't really climb up the ladder. He has gone through it in this match. Who pops out from underneath the ring? Well, that is our boy Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle pops up. He climbs up the ladder, but my man, he's a little too short to even up on the ladder grab the briefcase for Finlay. It was silly, but I kind of liked it. And then there was another spot where Mr. Kennedy kind of overshot, landing on Matt Hardy and bashes the back of his head off the ladder that's laying on the mat. That was pretty brutal. And CM Punk, he does get hit in the head as well with a ladder by Edge, and he is legitimately bleeding. There's a lot of blood in this match because it does not matter how many times you practice these things. Ladders can be unpredictable. And like I said, CM Punk is in this match, but I don't really remember him being there. This would be CM Punk's first real WrestleMania. If you remember from WrestleMania 22, he was there, but he wasn't actually in a match. He was one of the gangsters on John Cena's car. So this is his actual match, which is a ladder match, which is super cool. I digress. Mr. Kennedy, I do love some Mr. Kennedy. I love the mic coming down. I love his entrance. He wins this match, and what a win it is. That being said, after this WrestleMania, he would get injured. They didn't know really how long it was going to take for him to heal from this injury. They didn't know how serious it was. So he ended up having a match after this WrestleMania with Edge. Edge won the briefcase from him, and then they found out that Mr. Kennedy's injury wasn't all that serious. So they didn't really have to take the briefcase from him, which is so sad. But that's what happened after WrestleMania with the briefcase. So while WrestleMania 23 was Edge's first time ever losing at a WrestleMania, he really came out victorious at the end. So the next match we're going to breeze on by. I do want to talk about a few things in this match. It was about 5.5 minutes long. It was one of my least favorite matches. Previously, we did get the Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez, and that is to this day one of my least favorite WrestleMania matches. But this one is pretty close to that, and that is Kane versus the Great Khali. And holy shit, this was just terrible. Like, what else can I say? But I do want to put in there that Kane, he was in a movie the year previously in 2006 called See No Evil. Say what you want about that movie. I love it. I have it somewhere in my house on DVD. It's just a silly, fun, slasher horror movie. He did in this match bring out the chain that he carries around in that movie. His character in the movie is called Jacob Goodnight. So he has that chain in this match, and I do love that little callback. I just love that movie. And like I said, this is the first WrestleMania in 20 years in the Detroit area. So the last one was WrestleMania 3. And at WrestleMania 3, we did get the iconic Hulk Hogan body slamming Andre the Giant. Well, at WrestleMania 23, we get Kane body slamming the Great Khali, which was a sight to see for sure. All is said and done, the Great Khali does win. He actually takes the Jacob Goodnight chain and chokes Kane with it at the end. Like, you already won. Please, let's just end this. One of my least favorite matches. It's definitely high up there. You let me know what you felt about this match. Is it one of your least favorites in the WrestleMania series? This next match on the card is for the United States Championship, and that is between one of my faves back in the day, and that is MVP. He is challenging for the United States Championship, and the champion at the time would be Chris Benoit. Now, like I said, I really liked MVP. I really liked him in TNA/Impact. I love his personality, his persona. But going into WWE, he was like the sports guy. He was really being pushed as this like all around sports guy, like basketball, all this stuff. Anyway, so MVP against Chris Benoit previously to WrestleMania 23. They had a lot of like trios, tag matches against each other. But MVP really wanted to go for the United States Championship. So leading up to WrestleMania 23, he was really trying to prove himself as the US champion. So he would be having these squash matches with essentially jobbers, but they were supposed to be champions from other countries in the world just to prove himself as the real United States champion. So going into this match with Chris Benoit at WrestleMania 23, first of all, this match stands the test of time. This match was great. It only lasted approximately 10 minutes, but they used every single minute to their advantage. It was something that you can watch in 2023 and really still sink your teeth into. I'm not saying like this was all that long ago. This was 2007. But these two men really knocked it out of the park, especially after just watching The Great Khali versus Kane. I am so glad we got to get into this match. And MVP would go on to say, like, Chris Benoit really helped him in the ring during this time and during their feud. All of that being said, MVP did take the loss here by pinfall. But the two men would continue to feud going into Judgment Day 2 months later, and MVP would win in a 2 out of 3 fall match with Chris Benoit. So he didn't win here. He didn't win the United States Championship at WrestleMania 23, but 2 months later, he would go on to do so. The next match is another match in the Undertaker streak. So if we rewind back to the Royal Rumble of the same year, 2007, the Royal Rumble winner was the Undertaker. So the Undertaker gets to go to WrestleMania. So previously to this WrestleMania, WrestleMania 23, if we go a decade before this at WrestleMania 13, that is another WrestleMania that The Undertaker challenges for a championship belt. And we already know it is The Undertaker's streak. We are going 15-0 at this one. Since The Undertaker won the Royal Rumble, he can go into WrestleMania 23 and challenge for any of the belts. So at this time, we have Batista as the heavyweight champion. We have John Cena as the WWE champion. And then we also have Bobby Lashley there. He is the current ECW champion. But who does The Undertaker choose? Well, that is Batista. And this match is okay. It's not one of my favorite Undertaker matches. Previously to this WrestleMania, Batista said to have a lot of respect for The Undertaker, as a lot of guys in the locker room, guys and gals in the locker room, did at this time. But they actually paired The Undertaker and Batista up as a tag team for a few matches before WrestleMania 23. We had some matches between the tag champions, Batista and The Undertaker, on one side, and Batista and The Undertaker, you know, they were turning on each other. They were walking out of the ring on each other. Obviously, this was leading to a lot of tension. And when Batista was asked if he still had respect for The Undertaker, he said, nay, nay. So going into WrestleMania 23, obviously tensions are high. Men do not like each other. They do not respect each other. But as we know, The Undertaker's streak is still on and he wins the match. And he is the new heavyweight champion. And the look on The Undertaker's face when he's holding the heavyweight championship and looks at the crowd, he just looks so thankful. And I just, you know, whether you're a huge fan of The Undertaker, I mean, who really isn't? But you could really see how much he respects the business and the fans and what he's doing. And you gotta love him for that. Not only that, but I mean, The Undertaker has the best entrance of anybody in wrestling. If you think I'm wrong, let me know who you think it would be. But I really can't think of anybody else. It's just so theatrical. So the next match is an 8-man tag match. You guys, if you don't know, I love OG ECDUB. I stan it so hard. But, you know, it's 2007 and the WWE bought ECW previously. So now we're getting some ECW originals up against the New Breed. And this feud really just stems out of who is the dominant team in the revived ECW brand. Previously to WrestleMania 23, we had the leader of the New Breed ECW. That would be Elijah Burke versus the leader of the OG ECW guys, and then that would be Van Dam. Van Dam did win that match, going into Tommy Dreamer challenging the New Breed to an 8-man tag match at WrestleMania 23 to see who the dominant force is in the revived ECW. The New Breed, which would be Elijah Burke, Marcus Corvon, Matt Striker, and Kevin Thorne. I really liked Kevin Thorne growing up, his whole vampire thing. With the ECW originals, we had Van Dam, Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, and my dad, the Sandman. I look like him in a wig. He's not my real dad. And of course, we had the ECW originals come down through the crowd. It was such a beautiful moment, just like good old days of original ECW. That being said, this match, you know, it's an 8-man tag match. And if you've watched my videos previously with these, I don't love them. Really don't. It is what it is. This was just a fun nostalgia match to watch. You know, it's going to get a little weird when Sabu's in the match, which that's why we love him. But the ECW originals do come out victorious, as they should. I don't know why I didn't think that they would allow them to win this match, because, you know, thought we'd want the new breed to win since we're in a new era of ECW, but it is what it is. It was an all right match, and damn, really truly showing why he is a star, why he is the leader. That man is phenomenal even to this day. Now, as I said earlier, one of my least favorite matches, of course, my least favorite match on this card, the Great Khali versus Kane. While this next match isn't a bad match by any stretch of the imagination, that's Umaga, the current IC champion, up against Bobby Lashley, the ECW champion. Now, if that was just it, this could be a stellar match. Two big, meaty men slapping meat. We love to see it. But nay, why this match is happening? Let's get into it. Bobby Lashley is fighting on the behalf of someone, and that is Donald Trump. And Umaga's fighting on behalf of Vincent McMahon. Whoever wins this match gets to keep their hair. Whoever loses this match has to shave their head. We had a special guest referee, which was Stone Cold Steve Austin, so it's always lovely to see my man. That being said, of course, you know, at one point Donald Trump gets a stunner. It's just, I hate this so much. There is not enough bad things I could say about this. And it sucks so bad because Bobby Lashley and Umaga, beautiful. Love it. But of course, Shane McMahon gets involved. Vince McMahon gets involved. Donald Trump and Vince McMahon are fighting outside the ring. So it really takes away from what this match could have been. WrestleMania 23, but you know, Vince McMahon, I guess he's a little bit jealous of Donald Trump. As we saw at a previous WrestleMania, we had the falling of the money with JBL's face all over it. Well, nay, before this WrestleMania hits, Donald Trump, some real money reign, and it's Donald Trump versus Vince McMahon, but choose your player. And I hated this. It lasted 13 minutes again. If it was just Bobby Lashley and Umaga, I would have some more to say about it, but it just felt so dirty. And at the end, Bobby Lashley did win for Donald Trump, meaning Vince McMahon had to get his head shaved, and man, do they go down to the wood. Other than that, like, just such a waste of time. And I do want to put two more things in this. There was a segment backstage earlier in the card where Donald Trump was backstage on his phone like, why aren't you people feeding me? There's nothing around here. Vince McMahon is so useless, blah, blah, blah. And he's sitting beside the previous winner of Miss Universe the year before, allegedly. But the boogeyman comes out from behind the couch and freaks the girl out. She goes running. But of course, Donald Trump is, you know, he's not afraid of anything. He's just like, are you bringing me food? Who is this guy? This place is friggin' weird. It was a sight to see for sure. But all that being said, it was a battle of the billionaires. I could have done without this. This went so long, the shaving of the head and the battle of the billionaires, that they actually almost took the next match off the card, and we will get into the next match on the card. Ooh, do I have some things to say about this? Is Melina, the women's champion, up against Ashley Massaro. I'm really trying here. They almost took these women off the card because, you know, the battle of the billionaires and the shaving of the head. This was the only women's match on the card, I will say that. It was, for what they had, 3 minutes and 40, a pretty good match. Ashley Massaro, such a sweet baby angel face. May she rest in peace. Everything that's come out about Vince McMahon and Ashley Massaro, if you want to look into that. The fact that her match her 3-minute match on this card almost got bumped off because of this man's narcissism is definitely something that I would like to get more into. But considering what has happened previously to me speaking up about this, I need to take some time mentally before I really get into it. Anyway, this was a 3-minute, 40-second match. It was a lumberjill match, so just like the lumberjack match. All the other women were outside the ring. If one of the women were to get out of the ring, they would throw them back in. It didn't really happen because they didn't really have much time. 3 minutes, 40 seconds. They did with what they could, considering up until this match, they didn't even know if they were going on or not. It's sad days. I'm glad women's wrestling is on an upward swing. The women get more time. They get more respect than at least they did in 2007. John Cena and Shawn Michaels, they are the current tag team champions. The last time we had a tag team champion versus their partner at a Mania was WrestleMania 21. That was Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio, and they started off the show. So now we're getting tag team partners up against each other again. This is for the WWE Championship. So I did say that The Undertaker has the best entrance in all of pro wrestling, and I stand by that. But John Cena's entrance to this WrestleMania, he comes in like a Mustang. He drives in, smashes through the glass, gets out of the car, his music hits. I absolutely loved this entrance. It was so chaotic in the best kind of way. But the thing that I really loved about this match, it was about 28 minutes long. It was just so much back and forth. Nobody really had the upper hand in this match. I kind of figured at one point Shawn Michaels would have his last hurrah with the belt. And a really scary part during this match was Shawn Michaels ran into John Cena, or at least attempted to, while he was backed up into the corner. And he's leaning up against the steel beam, and Shawn Michaels goes to run like into him. But John Cena moves and Shawn Michaels' face hits the steel beam, and he's like all red, he's bleeding. So they go through this match with him looking like that. It was actually really scary, to be completely frank with you. But this is an excellent match. And you know, Shawn Michaels, you like him, you hate him, it doesn't really matter. He is Mr. WrestleMania for a freaking reason. And John Cena at this time, like I've said in my previous videos, John Cena, I didn't dislike John Cena, and I've never really loved John Cena. He was just funny. He was there, you know. I love him on Instagram. I think he is just such a weird-minded person, and I absolutely respect that. But seeing him in these back-to-back WrestleManias, he's great. I was wrong. I do love John Cena. Just these WrestleManias, I've seen them previously. I'm kind of refreshing my mind. But watching him in these WrestleManias, it's great. He is fantastic. Shows us why he's the champion in this match. So like I said, at this time, Shawn Michaels and John Cena are tag team champions, but have little scuffles back and forth. We also had a tag team of Rated RKO, which is Edge and Randy Orton. So those two teams would have a back and forth as well, with Randy Orton kind of playing mind games on John Cena, you know, as Randy Orton is. But previously to WrestleMania 23, there was actually a triple threat match between Edge, Randy Orton, and Shawn Michaels to go up against John Cena at WrestleMania 23 after The Undertaker made his decision to choose Batista for WrestleMania. So Shawn Michaels winning that triple threat match, he is going into WrestleMania 23 to take on his tag team partner. And then on an episode of Raw, Randy Orton and Edge, tag team partners at the time, went to attack John Cena with a steel chair. But who runs out? Well, that is Shawn Michaels, and he kind of fights them off. tag team champions at the time, they're still working together, but I think there's a little bit of tension because they are going into WrestleMania 23 as opponents. But John Cena does win this match. He retains his WWE championship to, you know, shake Shawn Michaels' hand after. Like, we're still tag team partners. We're still tag team champions. So we should at least shake, show each other respect. But nay, Shawn Michaels, nay. He takes his ass, walks up the ramp. Commentary's like, well, you know how he feels. Like, of course he's going to be a little salty. This was probably going to be his last run as a champion if he won because, you know, he's getting a little up there in age. The night after WrestleMania on a Raw, Shawn Michaels does attack John Cena, kind of turns on him. So it's not all daisies and rainbows for the tag team champions. John Cena is still the champion. Those two continue their feud. So this WrestleMania, I did not like this WrestleMania. There were some good points. Absolutely. I had a little bit of fun during the ladder match. Main event between John Cena and Shawn Michaels was really good. The Undertaker Batista match, that was pretty fine. You know, but overall, you know, I think what really killed this for me is I feel like there was more emphasis put on the Battle of the Billionaires over anything else when I was watching this. And I thought that was really fucking stupid. To be completely honest, I did love that we had the OG versus the new breed ECW guys. It's always fun to see the Sandman and RVD and, you know, all those guys. But overall, I'm going to have to give this WrestleMania 23 a 5.5. That's being, you know, I'm in a good mood. That's being very generous. But that being said, what did you think of WrestleMania 23? We are going into WrestleMania 24. I'm going to have to pick this up because WrestleMania 40 is in like 2 months. What are we doing here? I cannot believe I am moving into WrestleMania 24. Let's go. See ya.